Hi, my name is Danielle Beeler, and this is my strategic analysis presentation for Hospitality 480 for Dr. Beretta's class. And the company that I chose for my strategic analysis presentation was Midas Hospitality. Midas Hospitality is predominantly known as a hotel management company based in St. Louis. And the aims of my report were to analyze the general and task environments of Midas Hospitality. The analyses that I used for this paper were the pestle analysis and Porter's 5 forces analysis, which I will discuss a little further along in my presentation. And for the methodology that I used for this paper, I did use those 2 forms of analyses, but I also used our textbook, which was the Strategic Management book by Frank T. Rothermel. And then finally, I also was able to get interviews with some of the people in the corporate office named Liz Paul, Barrett Pazderka, and Deb Benhoff. And they come from a variety of positions within the company, so I was able to get a pretty wide expanse of the views of the company. Additionally, I utilized the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics when talking about employment and unemployment rates. And this report, I found Midas to be a very successful competitor within their industry, and with their growth and success, I only see them continuing to expand. And I also found that they have numerous competitive advantages and opportunities if they continue to excel in the correct strategy. So a little bit about Midas Hospitality. They were founded in 2006 by J.T. Norville and David Robert in Creve Coeur, Missouri. They actually started in J.T.'s basement, and as I was a summer intern for this company, and that's always one thing that I found very interesting about this company, which is why I wanted to learn a little bit more about them, was that they came from such humble beginnings. And another reason that I wanted to learn a little bit more about this company that I am and will currently be working for in January was their emphasis on people, that being their employees, their guests, everyone they work with. And that's a little bit about them and why I wanted to study their strategic analyses. So the pestle analysis, it analyzes the political, economic, sociocultural, technological, environmental, and legal factors of a company. So it covers a very wide expanse of a company's environment. And one thing that I found really interesting was in the political factors of Midas Hospitality was that they are able to take up advantage of what are called opportunity zones. And an opportunity zone is defined as an economically distressed community where new investments under certain conditions may be eligible for preferential tax treatment. So this could come from the government, and right now an example of that is in St. Louis, Missouri, in the Cortex district. It's a very new, advancing technological space of the city, and the government wants more development and business kind of running through that opportunity zone. So Midas can build in that opportunity zone and thus get those certain tax benefits. And that's one really large opportunity that I see for them, is if they can continue building in less developed areas and keep building in these opportunity zones, their growth will just expand. Another thing that I found in their political use of the pestle analysis was that they are highly involved in corporate social responsibility. And what corporate social responsibility is that essentially a company takes their money and donates it kind of in a philanthropic way. And in this year alone, they were able to raise over $15,000 for 3 local not-for-profits in the St. Louis area. And that's something that I, as a St. Louis native, really find to be really good. But another thing that affects a company is their economic growth. And as I kind of mentioned, Midas is continually growing. They have built, in the past 5 years, 14 properties, and currently they have 8 under construction, 2 I know of which are opening in St. Louis in 2020, so that's really exciting. But this economic growth in our industry also affects the employment levels. Employment is at less than 4%. I just recently researched it. As of October 2019, unemployment in the United States is 3.6%, which is some of the lowest probably this country has ever seen. So this kind of comes with a little bit of what I identified as a struggle, but also maybe a threat, is they have some problems being able to find employees and compete in that realm, just because there's other companies like Amazon, Walmart, Target that are moving in that are able to pay more money for less hardworking jobs, such as a housekeeper. Another thing in the pesticial analysis is that technology is a really huge play in Midas, and they are being really innovative, and this is one really good strength I find in them. They have a regular 5-day, 40-hour work week, but the employees in the central office are allowed 1 work-from-home day a week, and they are still working at home, but the use of email communication, and Midas recently just switched to the cloud. They are able to access all of their company's documents from their own home or the road or wherever they may be, and that's just really one great advantage that they're taking advantage of within the central office. Outside of the central office, they have new technologies where there's mobile keys in hotels. Guests don't even need to come to the desk anymore. They can just take their cell phone, put it to their door, and it unlocks. One really, really great advantage that Midas is definitely taking advantage of within their hotels. Moving to the more internalized environment, the task environment of Porter's 5-force analysis, there was a couple forces that I really found to have a great impact. Well, the first was that Midas is operating under a monopolistic competitive structure. This means that there's many firms, a differentiated product, some obstacles to entry, and they have the ability to raise prices for a relatively unique product while still retaining their customers. They fit into this because they offered a differentiated product in many forms. They have many brands, many different hotels, all across the gamut for any traveler. But they also not only do they manage hotels, they build, they develop, they invest. They have all of these different companies within Midas Hospitality that they are able to capitalize on. So the threat of entry doesn't really affect them. 13 years ago, when they started in the basement of one of our founders' basement, that might have been a bit of a struggle for them. But right now, they are really thriving, and they are competitively existing amongst other competitors. When it comes to suppliers, their suppliers really have no effect over them. Midas is able to now manufacture hotel rooms off-site, and they can prefabricate these hotel rooms and build them off-site and just ship them and place them into the hotel itself. So Midas is rapidly building, getting these supplies, and they have a really great relationship with their suppliers. So currently, the power of suppliers is very, very low in context to Midas Hospitality. On the opposite end of the spectrum, Porter talked about the power of buyers, and this is where it has a little bit more effect. Obviously, for hotels to stay in business, we need guests. So the power of buyers in the hotel industry is very, very high. But when it comes to that, Midas has all of their different companies: development, investment, building, renovation. So they have people seeking them to build hotels, people seeking them to renovate their hotels, to manage their hotels. So as far as that goes, Midas is kind of on top of the buying power of things, because they have enough of a wide array of things that the buyers aren't really controlling them. The one threat that I did find was the threat of substitute. When I spoke with some people within Midas, they don't operate any full-service hotels. All of the hotels operated and managed by Midas Hospitality are select service hotels. And that could be seen as a bit of a threat, just because the fact that somebody who wants a full-service hotel isn't going to stay with them. But Midas does compensate for the fact that they aren't all full-service hotels. Most, if not all of their hotels offer some sort of free or hot breakfast, depending on the brand. I worked at a Residence Inn and at a Courtyard. The Residence Inn always offers hot breakfast every day for their guests for free. And Monday through Wednesday, they also offer like a nightly appetizer and free drinks for the guests, which could almost be compensated as dinner. So the guests staying at that hotel, while it's not full service, they have the option to get breakfast and an appetizer throughout certain times. Another hotel that I worked in, the Courtyard on the other side of the hotel, we had a bistro, and the bistro was open for breakfast and for dinner hours every day. And so while some of the food in the hotel does operate through certain hours, the guests are going to have a way to access food if they don't want to leave the hotel. And while not being full service could be seen as a threat, I think they do a really good job of mitigating those threats and developing them into opportunities. The competitive, the fifth force is rivalry among existing competitors. And obviously, there's always other hotels. There's always other hotel management companies. The only threat that I see is directly in the St. Louis area that Midas, they also compete with LHM or Lodging Hospitality Management. They've been around since 1986. So about 20 years before Midas was even probably a thought, LHM has been operating in the St. Louis area, and they offer a very close variety of similar things: development, interior design, that sort of thing. But they also compete for employees. But as I said in the beginning, Midas puts a focus on the people, not only their guests, but their employees. And so they use their employee relations and how they treat people and just treating everyone with humanity and humility. That kind of puts them the step above. So like I said, while that could be also seen as a threat, I think how they deal with people gives them a great, great opportunity. When it comes to the direct strategy of Midas Hospitality, I was able to speak with the Regional Director of Operations, Deb Benhoff, and she told me that before Midas does any project, David and JT, our founders, the co-founders, and the owners of the company, they complete a feasibility study before any build or acquisition. So this helps them to understand if Midas is going to be able to make a return on their investment. I think that this is a competitive and sustainable advantage because while you would think everybody should complete a feasibility study before they just go into a business, not everybody does. So I think that this feasibility study that Midas uses is a solid foundation and a distinctive competence for them to have in the company. They also have an interview process when they're going in with third-party owners to make sure that the business transaction is a good match and a good fit for both parties and that they both feel comfortable with the value of their business deal. Deb also said that they look into demand generators like government, healthcare, and higher education because these generators have consistent business flow and creates more needs than other generators. So they are doing a full-blown basic analysis of whatever environment they are going to invest in to make sure that it's going to be satisfactory. And like I said, I believe that the greatest resource and competitive advantage of Midas Hospitality is its people. As someone who has worked for this company, I can say that their words match their actions through and through. They're dedicated to their people, their employees in all levels, their guests, their suppliers, their buyers, simply everyone. And having a solid and motivated team is one of the most sustainable advantages that a company could come by because Deb said great talent is needed to be successful, and sometimes that's the hardest stuff to come by. So as far as my conclusions go, I think that Midas has a bright future and they are looking to be set up for even more success in years to come. Their strengths, competitive advantages, and opportunities strongly outweigh some of the weaknesses they face in employment and competition. And I also think that since they are opening 8 new hotels already in 2020, I think within the next 10 years, hopefully they can be coast to coast. Right now, they're kind of in the Midwest and a little bit below and a little bit this way, but we haven't quite expanded too far. But I believe that if they keep going at the rate that they're going and keep just making smart decisions, that they have a really, really bright future ahead of them. I currently do not have any recommendations on things that they should change, as I believe that they are using their assets and strengths to their best ability and are thus getting the desired outcomes of their actions. So, kind of what I learned from this project was I've never conducted a strategic analysis before. I never knew what a postural analysis was or what Porter's 5-force analysis was. But now I'm able to see how critical they are in developing the strategy of a business. Without these things, you're kind of going in blind and you're setting yourself up for failure if you don't complete these things. So it was really enlightening to me to see everything that goes into the strategy of a business. And as a future graduate in about less than 2 weeks, I am very happy to say that I'm very, very confident in my decision to work with Midas because I think they have great things ahead of them. Thank you.